Hello, my friends. Welcome to the movement with Dan Unitas. I just got off a call, so I'm like part of this like men's support group, and it was a bigger group, and then it kind of got whittled down over the years. But now it's just I think like maybe four or five of us, and we talk every couple of weeks, and largely it's like a check-in. How it typically goes is like you kind of check in. Hey, this is what happened in the last 2 weeks. And you talk about some highs and some lows, and then you talk about if you have a topic of conversation. You can kind of get some bounce ideas off of other men. I found it to be very helpful. If anybody out there is like thinking about doing it, I strongly recommend searching for that. A lot of men, particularly when they get a little bit older in their 30s and 40s, find that they really don't have a lot of male friends to confide in. They feel it's quite isolating. People go heads down with their careers. People go heads down with their families. It's difficult to connect with other men because everybody else has got the same thing going on that you do. They got their busy schedules, and it's not that people are actively they don't want to kind of interact, but it's just it's hard to find the time. So a lot of times when people come to a men's support groups, one of the first things that they say is just, "Hey, I'm really lonely, and I don't really have a lot of men to talk to." Particularly, a lot of men will talk about how they don't have any, they'll have buddies that they can go golfing with or watch sports with or what have you. But it's like you can't really talk about what's really bothering you, and talk about parenting, talk about your marriage, talk about issues with your own family, like that type of stuff. So I found it to be extremely helpful. I really encourage men, and I also encourage women out there to link up with other people to kind of get different perspectives. You got to be careful about who you are linking up with to make sure that they're aligned with your values, and you're not going to be having people kind of push you one way or strongly try to pull you into an identity or a value system that's not yours. You want people that are going to be adding to your life, but strongly recommend it, particularly for men, because I think women on the whole. I'm painting with a broad brush here, but I think women are more inclined to connect with other women, particularly on Facebook moms groups, Facebook's just women in general groups, things like that. Whereas I think men, we're not by nature as social creatures. I think men tend to isolate and not really. It takes a little bit more, being in the space for a few years, it actually takes a while for men to kind of get to the point where they realize, oh, I actually really need help. I don't have anybody to talk to. I need somebody. And it's typically in a case of emergency. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about today is just the notion that when I was in my group, it was typically, we have a lot of personal stuff to kind of talk about, just things that are going on in our work or in our home life, or like I said, parenting, and we'll engage in those topics. And it's good to riff off of each other and get a sense from another man, like what he would do in that situation. So very helpful for that. But we were kind of came up short in regard to personal issues to talk about. So I started talking about, a couple of the guys live up in Canada, and I live in America, and we started talking politics, and what goes on in the groups is private, so it's not, you can't kind of like talk about, it's a place where whatever you talk about, it kind of stays. So I don't want to talk about any particular content that we were talking about, but just in general, we are made up of people from different countries that have different perspectives, and then we're also made up. We're different in terms of our political inclinations and things like that. And so we started talking, and obviously on this channel, I talk a lot about the way forward and where our country's at and where we're going. And so I wanted to kind of gauge in talking with these other guys, their opinion on stuff. And so it was very fascinating. And the long and short of it is that we have very different opinions. We have very different opinions on different political figures, on different movements, on different, just all across the board. But here's the thing. We have known each other for several years. We've been in this support group with each other, giving each other through the, support through the thick and thin. I know a lot about these guys. I know a lot about, where they come from, what their values are, the things that they've struggled with, and they know me in the same way. And so there's a lot of respect between us because we've helped each other. The whole point of the men's support group is to, give support and also receive support. So inherently, you have to have a level of respect, to do that. And, especially when somebody opens up and is vulnerable and you're able to help them, that creates a really strong bond. So as we're talking about these, a lot of times people will say, hey, don't talk politics and religion. That's a really great way to kind of lose friends fast, or to make a social gathering go sour. But it was brought up because the times that we live in, there's a lot of stuff going on, and it was very fascinating because we had so much respect for each other. It was great. I was able to voice, my opinions to them, and they were able to voice their opinions to me, and we had, conflicts in what we all, coming from different places, but the conversation was very respectful, and we ultimately ended the conversation by saying, hey, we got through this entire conversation without anybody being walking away, thinking less of each other as we walk away. And we all agreed that there's so much vitriol on the left and on the right, that it's all about this kind of like cult mindset of adhering to your tribal political party, that it's so much, it gets in the way of us having any sort of respect or any sort of just being able to get along with each other and try to see somebody else's viewpoint. So I talk about this message on this platform all the time. So this is the movement with Dan Unitas. So the whole point of the channel is to unite people and unite American citizens and kind of get us going as a country again. And so I think I wanted to just give this example because I think that this is the way forward. We want to be having respect for each other as American citizens. We want to be able to freely express our opinions. We don't want to feel suppressed. We don't want to feel like there's these large-scale political narratives being foisted upon us and coming down and basically making it feel oppressed and have an oppressive culture of censorship where we can't open our mouths because we risk running afoul of people. There's a lot of extremism. People are driving cars and people are getting their cars spray painted based on the type of car that they drive and things like that. It's like, I think that we need to take a hard look at ourselves and say we are all part of the problem and we can all be part of the solution. And the part of where we're going with this is, let's be in a country where Democrats and Republicans, conservatives, liberals, blacks, whites, gays, straight, we can all talk to each other. We don't necessarily have to be fully committed to what the other person's about, but we accept them to a point where we say, hey, you're my fellow American. I want to attempt to get along with you because the more that we can get along, the stronger our country will be, and the more each of us individually will feel accepted here. So it's the notion of, hey, if you say something that's not out of what my belief system is, I'm not going to bite your head off. I'm not going to seek to, get you fired from your job because I think you're an asshole. And, it's just, let's take the temperature down, many notches. Let's not assume the worst out of somebody else. Let's have nuanced opinions. I think that's a big thing in the last decade that's been lost, is the idea of having a political identity, but then also having a lot of, you don't have to adhere to that 100%. We need to bring free thinking back. We need to bring thinking on a higher level and having more nuanced opinions about things. I can identify as this political party, but then I can also, I can listen and I can understand, and I can also agree with somebody of a different political persuasion. I don't feel like my entire identity is tied to, towing the party line. Anyways, that's about it. I wanted to just share that. I think that this is the way forward for our country. I think we can all do this if we all accept responsibility for it and say, hey, I don't want to do any political BS, political division stuff anymore. We're done with that. We're leaving it behind. We're moving forward. So we're going to stop throwing mud at each other. And we're going to start embracing each other, even if we disagree with each other. So that's my message from that's the movement, the message of the movement. And I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you watching the channel. If you like what I'm talking about, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.